In fact, a couple of you very kindly said hello to me, but I just had to do something. So that's why I couldn't respond in a very friendly way. Okay, so thank you for your good mornings. Please lie on your back. And just start thinking about what you did yesterday morning with the ATM with Julie. Think about how you rolled onto your left side, letting your left leg come out to the side. And your left arm was long. And sliding your right leg around your bent left leg. And you're thinking, you don't have to do it, you're just thinking about this. And how was it to get your right foot into your left hand, thinking. Was it easy to stand your right leg when it was around there, near your left hand? Your left arm was long along your side. And how did you move your head to facilitate that? Placing your right foot in your left hand. And then lie on your left side. And still thinking about how it is that you got your right foot into your left hand. With your right leg standing. So could you lift your right leg over your left leg and place it in your left hand? And what do you need to do with your head? So just try that move a couple of times. So you're lifting your right leg over your left leg and placing it, your right foot in your left hand. And what do you do with your head to enable this? So just keep doing this a couple of times gently. Which way do you move your head? What's happening in your ribs? Is your knee towards the ceiling as your foot is towards the floor? Can you put your thumb with your fingers so you're not gripping around your foot with your thumb, but your thumb is with your fingers? Feel at which point is it easy to breathe? Which point do you like to hold your breath? Can you find a way to have your knee towards the ceiling so that you're standing on your foot And I could come and sit on your knee, no trouble at all. That your knee is that your lower leg is stable, upright. What do you need to do? What do you need to do in your chest, with your head, in your ribs? With your breathing, with lifting your head. Please lie on your back and take a rest. Feel the length of your right side and the length of your left side. Please bend your left leg out to the side. And this time, stand your right foot behind your left leg. So some of you have got quite acute bends of your left knee. So you can, yeah, that's right, make it a bit more. And put your right foot behind it. And then take your left arm long along the side, down to the side, with your knuckles on the floor and your palm towards the ceiling. So slide your hand down a little bit to the left in the direction of your left knee, gently. And then let your lower leg, your right lower leg, move across your left leg to allow, keep your foot where it is, to allow your right knee to go towards your left hand. You can lift your right foot from the floor. And so, in fact, you're sort of balancing your left leg over your right. I'm sorry, your right, I beg your pardon, your right leg over your left. You lift your right foot and let your right knee go into your left hand, and your right foot goes towards the ceiling. Right foot towards the ceiling as your right knee goes in to your left hand. And then you take your foot back again and stand your right foot behind your left leg. And you alternate taking your right knee to your left hand and your right foot towards the ceiling, and then your right foot behind your left leg to the floor and your right knee to the ceiling. So you're alternating between taking your knee, your right knee into your left hand, and then your right foot to the floor behind your left leg, gently. And as you continue to do this, you can feel the movement in your hips, in your spine, in your head, breathing quietly. And at which point is it useful to lift your head a little? At which point is it useful to lift your head? keep your foot dorsiflex, don't point your toe, and just find this beautiful way of rolling, taking your knee to the floor and then your foot to the floor. Beautiful. Let your legs go long and take a rest. How long is your right side? How long is your left side? Please bend your left leg again and roll onto your left side. And balance your right leg over your left the way you just did. But this time, not lifting it, just taking your right knee into your left hand and then allowing it to move out of your left hand. So you're oscillating that top leg over your left leg. You're oscillating your right leg over your left. So you keep your left hand on the floor. You keep your leg on your right leg on your left leg, and you're just oscillating, putting your knee in your hand and then taking, and then your foot goes towards the floor behind you, but not standing. You're just doing a little oscillation, gently, gently. So your right lower leg is just sort of oscillating over your thigh, your left thigh. Yeah. So you're not putting your foot in your hand, so you're just oscillating. All right? So you're just keeping the contact between your left lower leg and your right thigh, but you're putting your knee towards your hand and you just, there you go. Feel the difference? Okay, so you're oscillating over that. I don't know how else to say it. I'm doing my best, gang, but something's, there we go. See, so you've got your lower leg, your right lower leg over your left thigh, and you're oscillating with your knee towards your left hand, your right knee towards your left hand, and feel what's happening through your spine, through your hip, through your pelvis, and what's your head doing? So is your head rotating? Is it lifting? So your hip joint is rocking. So feel the relationship between what you're doing with your knee and what you're doing with your head. As your right knee turns into your left hand, what do you do with your head? Okay, stop that for a moment to stay on your side. Now, this time, when you do a similar oscillation, but but take your head and your knee in the opposite directions. So whatever you were doing with your head before, do the opposite now. And if you can't remember what you did with your head before, start doing the oscillation and then changing what you do with your head. And go back to the first oscillation. And feel the movement through your pelvis, your hip, and your spine. Lie on your back and take a rest. Feel the volume of your breath and the contact of your spine on the floor. Imagine now that someone's taken hold of your hair from above and keeping your nose towards the ceiling. Lift your head very slightly from the floor and start moving your head a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. No, not rolling your head, not taking your nose between the ceiling and the floor, keeping your nose, your face orientated towards the ceiling. You lift your head a fraction and move your head right and left, the tiniest bit. Some of you are very enthusiastic with this movement. Okay, it's a tiny movement, right and left. It is not a rolling. There are still people rolling. You are sliding. If your head was in contact with the floor, the back of your head would be sliding right and left, not rolling. Your nose remains orientated towards the ceiling, gently. Do a few tiny little movements and then rest. I can still see a couple of rolls. It's a wise person who knows what they're doing. Or to quote Feldenkrais, you're just cheating yourself. And rest for a moment. Now put your right index finger at the very base of your skull. And very gently lift your head a little bit and move it right and left. And feel the help that that right index finger can give you, maybe in direction. So you're going right and left, gently. Breathing. It's a tiny movement. Feel that you can breathe as you do this. You can feel the connection through your torso. Your ribs a little bit are responding to this movement. Soften your jaw, soften your tongue in your mouth. Slowly breathing. Tiny movement. And rest for a moment. Find a way now of just clearing your head from the floor and moving your head right and left in a tiny movement without involving your ribs. So it really is a very small movement at the very top of your spine, gently, slowly, with your breath. Feel that movement. And rest. And now please put your right hand on top of your head. On top of your head. And this time, move your head right and left with your nose towards the ceiling, with your hand on top of it, clearing the back of your head a little bit from the floor, just the tiniest bit. Feel that you can breathe easily, that your jaw is soft. And just sense how it is to move your head right and left with your right hand on top of it. Your elbow is wide, your right elbow, gently. And feel some connection with your ribs, gently. And rest for a moment. And interlace your fingers, please, and put them behind your head. And slowly, with the help of your arms, lift your head a little bit. And sense the involvement of your ribs here, the way your ribs move down at the front and you flatten your back. Gently. So you're quietly lifting your head with the help of your arms, feeling your ribs moving down at the front and your lower back flattening on the floor. So this is a different movement from what we've been doing. Feel how that is. But connect your ribs with lifting your head. So really feel that your ribs can move down as you lift forwards. And let your arms go long and take a rest. Feel the movement of your breath. And where is it that you sense your breath? Please put your hands on top of your head, both hands, one on top of the other. Open your elbows. On top of your head, not your forehead or behind your head, on top of your head. Have your elbows wide open. Clear your head from the floor, so lift it a fraction and start taking your elbows to the right and then to the left. And feel as you take your right elbow to the right and your left elbow, of course, follows it because it's connected to the top of your head. Feel that you're taking your right elbow down to the right. Your ribs are closing on the right as your ribs open on the left. And then you take back to the middle and then your left elbow to the left. And your ribs are closing on the left as they open on the right. Find that relationship between closing and opening of your ribs. Feel your breathing. And let your arms go down and take a rest. Put your right hand now, please, on the top of your head. And slowly now bring your right elbow around to the right in the direction of your chest on the right. So you're taking your right elbow downwards in the direction of your chest on the right. And back again. And again, feel that closing of your ribs on the right as you open your ribs on the left. Gently. You're keeping your face orientated towards the ceiling. Your nose is towards the ceiling. Breathing quietly. Next time you take your head around to the right with the help of your right arm, lengthen your left arm long along the floor with your knuckles on the floor. Gently. So you're closing your ribs on the right, but you're lengthening your left arm long. So there's a slight little conflict going on in your chest. Just sense that and feel that's a possibility. And then slowly, as you're taking your right elbow around to the right and your left arm is lengthening, start rolling onto your left side, taking your right leg across into your left hand, which is coming downwards to receive it. So you're bending to the right with your upper torso, but your left arm is free to lengthen, and bending your left leg because you're rolling to your left, you're taking your right foot into your left hand. As you're bending to the right with your upper torso. So keeping your right shoulder wide, your right elbow is wide. Your head is coming around to the right. You're lengthening your left arm and you're putting your right foot into your left hand. For those who are confused, it's not what we've done before. It's a new look. Keep your face orientated towards the ceiling. You're taking your right elbow around. You're taking this down and you're taking that. No, excuse me. Face towards the ceiling. Face towards the ceiling. Right hand on your head. Coming around with your head and your arm. Keep it going around, rolling there and taking your your right foot into your left hand. There you go. Yeah. So you bend your left leg as you roll to your left. You take your right arm around to the right and you're standing your right foot into your left hand. Keeping your face orientated towards the ceiling as you bend around to the right with your upper torso and roll to your left with your pelvis. Feel your breathing. Okay. It's easy, won't you? There you go. There you go. You can come round even further. Gently bending that left leg. Look at that. Look at that. Come on. Don't worry about that. That's nothing. So, all right, I think you should have a rest. Beautiful work. Feel your breathing and the length of your right side and the length of your left side. Please put your right hand on your head again. And just thinking about the move you've just practiced, which is, of course, to roll to your left as you slide around to the right, putting your right foot in your left hand. So this time, when you start to do it, sense what is moving first, your head or your pelvis. So thinking of the fabulous activity of putting your right foot in your left hand with the constraints that have been described, just sense, what do you move first, your head or your pelvis? Remember that the back of your head is coming around to the right as your pelvis rolls to the left. And the question is, which end do you move first? Your head or your pelvis? You can, of course, consider the other possibility, which is to move them simultaneously. So just explore which makes sense to you. Which do you like to move first? Can you then move the other part of you first? And don't forget to bring your head around to the right, because the end game is to keep your knee orientated towards the ceiling as your right foot lands in your left hand. And the softer your ribs and the easier and the more you can move your head and your shoulders around to the right, keeping your elbow open, softening your ribs, breathing, loosening your jaw, softening your tongue, the easier it is to have your knee towards the ceiling when your hand, when it reaches your left palm. Don't push anything. Just find where it's a bit creaky. Just be kind to yourself. But work within those constraints. And take a rest. Find your sternum. Just put your fingers on either side of your sternum. So find those little gaps between your ribs. And just have a sense if you can move your sternum left and right in relation to your spine, which is not moving on the floor. So is there a way of moving with your fingers your sternum left and right? So you just spread your fingers a little bit on either side of your sternum, and you've got your fingertips, well, the pads of your fingers, I should say, not your tips, the pads of your fingers on either side of your sternum, on those intercostal muscles between your ribs. So you can feel some ribs between your fingers, and you can find the edge of your sternum. And just try now to move your sternum right and left, keeping your vertebra, your spine, quiet on the floor. So your vertebra, your spine is not moving. You're just moving your sternum in relation to your spine. Just find if there's a way to do that gently. Breathing. And give that a rest. So now put your right hand on your head again, your left arm long along your side, ready to take your right foot inwards. So just think now of moving, as you move your head and your right arm around to the right, just think of where your sternum can move to facilitate turning your pelvis to the left and putting your right foot in your left hand. So just find a way to move that sternum independently. Differentiate it from the movement of your spine as you slide the back of your head around to the right, your right elbow downwards towards your right ribs. Have a sense that your sternum can shift across. So there's a very interesting question here. Does your sternum move with your pelvis or with your upper torso? Can you have a sense that your sternum can move in one direction as your spine moves in the opposite direction? Try to keep your face orientated towards the ceiling, because I can see a little bit of rotation of your head creeping in. and lie on your back and have a rest. Slowly now, please roll to your side and come up to standing. Feel the weight through your feet and how lopsided you may or may not feel. And just turn around yourself and sense which way is easier. First, so obviously you turn one way, then you turn the other. Did you choose the easier direction first? And do you sense a difference? Keep going on the other side. I just think they're pretty cool. What do you think? Have a little break. This afternoon. Yep. Okay, so just go for a little walk, have a little break, and we'll see how you go with this one-sidedness.